Hello there, students. Mrs. Girot here, providing you some video directions for the original character OC Breaking Stereotypes project. Let's head over to the classroom. You're going to click on Content. Scroll down. Let's see. Where is Project 2? Well, wherever it's at, depending on what block it is, find where it says Project 2 and click there. And then you will see some video directions. All right, this is the OC challenge. Directions: create an original character. What's an OC? Watch this video here and that'll talk about that. I'm not going to do that here. And then challenge number 2, break a stereotype with your character. What is a stereotype? You can watch that video to find out. So first you're going to envision your original character. What is your character's backstory? Where did your character come from? How did your character become who he or she is today? Brainstorm your original character's every detail and personality, appearance, and the setting in which your character lives. How is your character breaking stereotypes? What's the story? Here's an example of what that looks like. So this is pretty small. I'm just going to blow it up. The student saved this as a JPEG or something instead of as a Word document, but here we go. So the character's name is Lara Light, and here's some background. Comes from or lives in planet Elementarium, the goddess of stars and light, and the planet Elementarium, and also the protector of Earthlings. Description of home: lives inside the planetarium. Motives: this is her destiny and goal, to maintain peace on Earth and protect against monster Earthlings. Her personality is serious. She loves people, animals, and flowers. She gets angry. She's wise. She's a warrior. Her flaws: she does not like to be interrupted. She often scolds her advisor. She is getting out of herself if something went wrong. Physical appearance: she's a female. She's a goddess. She has red hair with golden tint. Absolutely yellow eyes without pupils. Gold armor with red fabric, blue clothing. Attributes also with ropes. And pink little flower in her hair. Okay, so this student sat down and created this character before they started sketching. Now let's take a look at the next step. Then, and only then, start sketching. And here we have a sketch. Is that how you envisioned this character to look? Lara Light. So after you sketch your character, then you're going to take a picture of your sketch and upload it to your computer. You can just take your phone and plug it into your computer via the USB cord. And then you just go into your folders and find your phone and look under DCIM under pictures, and then you can find it there. Or if that's, too complicated, I'm sure there's a YouTube video that could show you how to do that. You can search that up. You could always email the picture to yourself and then download it to your computer from your email. And then you could Facebook it and download it from Facebook. Whatever works for you. Get creative. Then you're going to import your sketch into Inkscape. Okay, let me show you how this looks. So you're going to open up your Inkscape. First thing I always want y'all to do is save. You're actually going to need, for your first time, to say save as. I save mine in my picture library. I have a digital arts folder there, so I just double click on that, and then I can go into my 2018-19 block 1, and let me go ahead and create a new folder here, and I'll call that Project 2. You don't necessarily have to create separate folders. And then how you are always going to save your work is with your first and last name. So I'm going to put my first and last name, you would put yours, and then I'll just do OC Project 1, something like that, so it's obvious. And then remember I had talked about saving it as different versions. So I'm just going to go ahead right off the bat into V1, version 1. So if I stop and save this and I come back later on, when I open it back up, I'm going to immediately save it as version 2 so that if I make any mistakes, I don't ever accidentally save over my previous file. So there's version 1. You can see the name of your file at the very top, and then you're going to go ahead and import that picture. It's going to be here, layer 1. I'm just going to go ahead and name that original layer. I did that by double clicking on it and typing it, and then I have to hit enter. Perfect. Okay, so file, import. And then I'm going into my libraries, to my pictures, to my digital art folder, 2018-19, project 2, and ooh, I know what I forgot to do. I forgot to save this to my computer. So I have to remember, import that, download that to my computer. I'm just going to save as, find my folder for digital arts, and I will name this my first and last name, Rachel Girot. It would be your first and last name because you're you and I'm me. I'm going to name it OC Sketch and click Save. And then when I do that, you notice that my sketch is over here. So remember, we were importing. Select the file to import, and I realized, oh, my sketch isn't in my folder. So I put it in there. Now I'm going to import it. And yep, just do the embed and OK. And then you're just going to drag it up here. And to maintain the proportions, to control the proportions, what button do you think you need to hold down? That's right, you need to hold down Control. I'm going to click Save real quick though to free my RAM up, holding down Control and grabbing the corner so that my proportions are just the way they need to be. That's perfect. And I can use my arrow keys and arrow down or hold down Shift to get larger arrow up and down increments. Okay, and get that centered how I want it. Probably want it a little further down on the page. Okay, so there's your original layer. You're going to lock that layer, okay? That is there for you to be able to see. And what number do I hit so that this will fit my canvas right into the screen? I hit number 5 at the top of the keyboard. It would work for me. Okay, so lock in my original layer, adding a new layer. What's the first thing that you want to create when you're making some artwork in Inkscape? It's the first thing. Your background color, right? Yeah, it's going to be above your original. How do you create a background? Elementary, my friends. Grab that rectangle tool and simply draw a nice rectangle. My snapping is on. Have you ever felt that snap when you're like trying to get it to go where you want and it doesn't work? Try do Shift 5, I think it is. And I'm going to go ahead and use my selection tool to select that and, whoops. I'll select it and delete it. And I'm going to try the rectangle again and see if I can make it so that it's not snapping now that I hit Shift and 5 at the same time to release the snapping mechanism. I'm really struggling with my RAM. Okay. Oh, look, no snapping. Yay. I can put it exactly where I want. Okay, so what's the shortcut? If you're noticing that it's like snapping is when you notice that it just wants to like stick to something else. It's snapping to it. Shift +5. Okay. Memorize that. That's really helpful. Snapping happens a lot. Click Save, and I want to change the color of my background. So I'm going to just use this to scroll and find something that reminds me of a planetarium. So I'm going to go a little bit on the green side. And there we go. Okay, so remember on your layer, you have an opacity. okay? And you can decrease your opacity. Opacity means that you can't see through it, and make it more transparent, like you can see through it. So I do have my background color there. I just have to remember at the end to bring my opacity back up where I want it, okay? All right. Another quick fun trick here is the gradient tool. If you can't see the gradient tool, you see this little arrow down here? Yeah, if there's any tools that aren't showing up, just click on that little arrow. There's a mesh, a dropper, or a connector. If you can't see, this gradient tool would be in there. Okay, so to make a gradient, you can just click on your selection tool, make sure that your rectangle is selected, and you should, I'm not sure if this is going to work or not, but we're going to find out, be able to click on your gradient tool and just click from one side to the other. Yeah, and you'll notice that on one side of your gradient, you've got the darker tone and the tint over here where it's added white. You can grab these and move them around and change how your gradient moves. So I kind of like that diagonal effect here. That's pretty cool. So that's pretty sweet how it's darker down at the bottom and lighter at the top where her hand is reaching up. That really helps to draw the eye up into that corner. So there's the gradient tool for you. Don't forget to click save. Just throwing a couple of ideas at you. So you got your background color, and then remember I also said I wanted you to work on the setting. So you can lock your background color, and I'm going to hide it so that I can see a little bit better. What's the setting? Is there, what is there? Are there plants in the background? Is there a moon? Whatever. You remember we learned how to use the pencil tool. So you could grab this pencil, your draw freehand, and make sure that your smoothness is set up to about 48 or 42, 48, somewhere in there. If it's lower, it's going to be crooked and crazy looking, right? So I'm just going to click and hold my cursor down while I just draw the shape of a moon, because I'm kind of feeling like that would be kind of a cool effect here. And join your end by letting go. Well, I'm going to tell you that maybe the pencil tool wasn't a good choice for that. The pencil tool can certainly be a good choice if you're trying to make shapes and things like that. What if I were to, let's go ahead and Control Z to undo the last two things I did. What if I used my Bezier tool instead? So I'm on my setting layer, making sure I'm going to grab my Bezier tool instead of the pencil. Okay, this is my vector tool, and I'm just going to go ahead and just simply click, click, click. Whoops, it doesn't like that. Yeah, it does, but we'll see. I'm going to click here now. And then I always have to go and hit save before I can close my endpoint when I'm making a video. Okay, so I've got these. Oh, that's kind of cool. But now I can grab my nodes or edit paths by nodes tool, right? And I can grab my curves and bend them so that they make, I have to save constantly, so that they make that moon effect that I was looking for. Don't worry, you'll get the hang of how to use these with time. Okay, and you know what? I'm not really liking that. So can I get rid of that node? I sure can. I can just go up here and hit minus and just turn that into a curve. That's pretty cool. I like that. And I can grab these nodes and move them around. I can grab these handles, woo, and drag things that way. I might decide that I'm not liking this node here. It's an extra node I don't need, so I'm going to hit this minus button to delete it. Much better, and grab this and, oops, trying, oh boy, file, save, there it goes. And now it looks like I can get a little more in control of this. I've got some handles over here. Here's a handle. So I can play around with those handles and get the shapes how I want them. There should be another, oh, that node is way over here. Look at how far away that one is. That's funny. Okay, so I can bring that up. Okay, so once I have the shape of that moon that I want, now I can go ahead and fill it in, and I'm just gonna grab the selection tool and make sure that it is selected. And now I can go ahead and do something golden and fun with the color. And maybe I'm not crazy about that. So I'm gonna go to my object, fill in stroke. It was already down here and I can click on it down there, but if you're ever having any issues, you can pull it up under the object menu. Okay, so I've got a fill right here, and this is the wheel. So there's all these different ways, right? I like the wheel. I like it because I can grab a hold of this and I can move that around and get the color that I'm really going for. Okay, I think I'm gonna go with that. If I want it to have a stroke, I can change the stroke here. Right now it's all the way in the black shade, so I can make that a more golden hue, and I can go to my stroke style and I can increase the stroke so you can actually see it. Okay, so let's take a look at what I've got right now. I'm going to click on my layers to bring that up, and I'm going to show my background color. And maybe I want to do a gradient with my moon as well. So I'm just going to hide my background color and hide my original right now. Those are both locked. Make sure that my setting is selected, because if I have the background color selected and I try to use a tool, nothing's going to happen. Make sure that you have the layer selected that you're using. I'm going to grab a hold of that gradient tool, and sometimes making a video. Oh, there it goes. I got it. Yay. Cool. So I can adjust that how I want it. I could make the dark side over here and the light side down here as kind of a juxtaposition with the other gradient. We could try that. So let's go ahead and see how that looks. I'm gonna click save, click on my layers, and now let's make all that layer. Oh, that's kind of cool. I like that. So that makes it so that I can see through that bottom part of the moon. That is so awesome. I love it. Okay, and then I've got my character here. So I'm going to hide these guys because I don't need to see them. I need to see this. And now remember the other layer that I said, well, I didn't actually read this part of the directions, but you're seeing it right now. This is going to be my character. Character layer 1, I'll just put, because you might have a lot of different character layers. And this is where you're going to start your vectoring. So I recommend that you grab your zoom tool and that you zoom in on the spot that you want to vector. So let's say I want to do the things that are at the bottom underneath first. So I'm going to go ahead and vector her hand. So file, save. And I could do this a couple of different ways. I could use my freehand pencil. I'm going to give that a try and see how I like that. So first I'll try the pencil. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to go underneath this glove. And I'm just going to draw the fingers. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm going to end back at that spot. It is a little wonky, so I might have to decrease my smoothness a little bit. I'm going to hit Control Z and undo that, and I'm going to go save, and I'm going to see if decreasing my smoothness will help. A little better. And then of course you can fill that. So what color? Try this down here. Okay, so there's an example of that, and then I can go ahead and hide the hand, for now, and then I can make this little cuff. So I'm going to go ahead and add another layer, or you can go layer, add layer, and I'll call this the cuff. And this time, instead of using the pencil tool, just so you can see the difference, I'm going to use the Bezier tool, because honestly, it's better at doing things. I can just click anywhere that I have. Oh, there's a point here, a point there, a point there, a point there, and then I always go save before I hit my endpoint. There we go. So now I've got that cuff, and this is just so much better to get exactly how you want your curves to look. Okay, so there's my cuff, and I can go ahead and fill that. Let me just fill it with something like, let's see, silver. Okay, that works. So now I can show my hand underneath. I've got my cuff on top. I can go in and do more details. I'm going to just decrease the opacity so I can see through both of the cuff layer and the hand layer. I want to be able to see the drawings underneath. I could just go ahead and name this hand. And in my hand layer, I have lots of details there. So I might want to just grab my Bezier tool, and I just want to start putting those details in the hand. And you'll notice that it is doing it in the silver color. So I'm going to get it changed to black, hopefully. And if you have a funky line, just hit escape. Okay, let's see if I can, it still wants to be silver. I'm gonna right click on it and hit black. Let's see. Can we play? Oh, that just filled it. Remember, stroke is shift. Hold down shift and pick the color. Okay, so I held down shift. Let's see if I keep going, if I can. No, it doesn't want to. What a little stinker. Okay, there's another. Okay, so you've got all these different lines. You're just gonna work on filling in the details of the hand. The cuff had some details on it, so I'm gonna go ahead and work in the cuff layer now, and I'm gonna grab my Bezier tool, done, and go ahead and draw some of these details that were in there. And I can't remember what they all are because this hand needs to go away. Okay, so I'm just gonna draw some things that aren't even there. Just for interest. Hey, just because you drew the sketch doesn't mean you have to do it true to the sketch, right? Okay, so we'll try this. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn my hand back on and take my cuff's opacity and bring it back up to 100%. I've got these little guys right here that I can select. So like this one, I can fill that with a different color, can make it more white so it pops. Just building layer upon layer. So underneath your cuff, you're gonna have the arm here, so you could probably go back to your hand layer and you could hide your cuff for a minute, and you can go in with your Bezier tool and you can go ahead and Bezier this part of the arm in here. Just going like this. And I am just gonna get all these lines here. Just some of that stuff's not gonna be seen, right? So take advantage of what's gonna be hidden. And then you can, what color are you gonna make that? You can make that, I'll just go with an orange color. Perfect, now let's bring the cuff back. Okay, oops, I've got that little area in there that's not filled in, so I need to get that filled in. Grab my Bezier tool, and I can go underneath that layer. So I can go ahead and add another layer, and I can call this underneath. You can name them whatever you want, but this one's gonna go underneath the hand. So file, save. It doesn't want to move, so if that's the case, layer, lower layer, that'll do it manually. Okay, so now that I'm underneath, Whoops, these don't have to be locked. I'm gonna hide that. I'm just gonna draw my rectangle here. Dun, dun. Now let's take a look. All right, much better. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom back out now. I can do that by hitting the number 5 to the window, okay? So you get the idea. So that's how you're going to build your original character, okay? So let me show you what this student's original character really looks like. And here it is. This is what the student had built. It looks a little different than the one I was making. So back to the directions, you're going to import your sketch the way that I showed you to save and lock that layer, and then you're going to create and do your work in new layers for your background, your setting, and the character. There may be many layers for your character depending on how you choose to construct it. I would advise using many layers. Your character background and setting needs to be completely filled with color. When you're finished, hide your original layer and export a ping of your artwork. Submit both your Inkscape.svg file and your exported ping. Name your files with your first and last name at the beginning of the file. So what that means is that you don't want to print the original layer. So to not print it, you're just going to hide it, okay? And so then make sure also your setting and your background color layer, make sure all of the layers that you want to show up in your exported image, make sure that they're there. So I'm going to go ahead and say File, Save, okay? And that final saved version is what I am going to submit. That's my .svg file. But now I need to export. So I'm going to go File, Export Ping Image, okay? And remember, this is not the export button. It says export as, but that's not the export button. That's the name your file. But I already like the way it's named because it's my first and last name, OC Project 1 with a .png at the end. That's how I want it to be exported. This button right here is the export button. So I always like to click close when complete because this dialog box will close once it's actually exported. So you know that if this box is open, it hasn't exported. You did something or didn't do something you needed to do. So click export. Boom, notice the export box disappeared. I know it's exported. Let's go into my folder. Where are you? Okay, save all my stuff in my pictures under my digital arts folder, 1819 block 1 project 2. There is my SVG folder, and here is my exported ping. Okay? All right, you know it's an SVG because it says .svg. Now, while you're in your folders, let me just show you that you can change the way that you're viewing these images. Go to View. Right now I have it set on large icons. You can have it list the details. If you do that, then you can see all of the names of your files, the date that they were modified, and the file types here, okay? So you've got a sketch that is a JPEG. You've got your SVG file, and you've got your exported ping. You're going to upload all 3 of those to the Dropbox. And here's the Dropbox right here, Project 2. Okay, and inside the Dropbox, you'll notice that I added the rubric. Let's go ahead and click on that Dropbox. The rubric says there's 70 points possible. Let me make sure that's right. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Good. 5 points for submitting your original character sketch. Make sure it's named with your first and last name at the beginning of the file name. 5 points for submitting your Inkscape SVG file. 5 points, the sketch is imported and locked in the original layer. 5 points, the background layer is filled with color. 5 points, the setting layer has at least 1 environmental clue. 30 points, the original character is completely rendered and full of color. 5 points, the subject, you submitted your exported ping file. And 10 points, you're going to leave a note in the Dropbox that explains who your character is, the backstory, and how she or he is breaking a stereotype and why. Let me show you how you do that. So when you scroll down, it is going to say upload. So just click upload. Locate your digital arts folder and you're going to submit all three. Remember, your exported ping, your SVG file, and your sketch, all named with your first and last name at the beginning of the file. So going to click Shift and select the first one, hold down Shift and to select the last one. Or you can also hold down Control if you want to select certain specific ones. So once you have the three selected, you're going to click Open. And then you'll notice that all of them upload. And as soon as you have a file uploaded to the Dropbox, you'll notice that you get the option to leave a comment. So sometimes your teachers will ask you a question and you want to leave a comment to your teacher back in the gradebook. All you have to do is upload something. It could be anything. You could upload a picture of a toothpick. You could upload a blank Word document. You could upload anything that you want. Once you've done that, you can leave a comment in there for your teacher. So this is where you are going to write about your original character. So I'm going back to that brainstorm that I did, and I can include the information from my brainstorm, right? So in my notes, I can have both of my files open. I can say my character's name is Laralite. She is breaking a stereotype. How is she breaking a stereotype? Because she is beautiful yet powerful. Something like that. All right, so we'll go ahead and click Submit, ding, and that will submit your comment and your work. And just an FYI, if you forget to click submit and then you leave this page, all of the files that you uploaded will be gone. So you do have to click submit. It's Brainstorm where they developed the character before they started sketching. And then here is that sketch that was imported as the original layer. The student created a background, even created some text. And there is that Shay, her anxiety bubble. There is that setting element. Then we have the character development. We have the legs, the body, the head and beak, and then the eye and bow and belly spot and blush. So this is it. This is how you create an original character. Here's another one. We've got it's called an OC map, original character map, that's got the background, a description of the home, personality, the cold-hearted flaws, physical appearance. All of that has been created before we do the original sketch. So let's take a look at that. You know, your sketch does not have to be professional. And then we start adding in the sky. My computer's RAM is really struggling right now. The ground, there's the setting. And there's our character. Ta-da! You can do it, you guys. Have fun with this.